Welcome to Integrate Yourself, everybody. I'm your host, Allison Pillow, and you can find me at pureenergypdx.com. Today, we have an incredible show. My guest today is Ana Paula Munoz, and she is a peak performance coach and an intuitive. It was really an honor and a pleasure talking to Ana today. We talked about burnout prevention, how to recognize when we have an unsustainable way of running our lives, and what are the best practices to prevent that. Those can come in super handy this time of year, especially as we get into regaining our sense of fitness in the new year and as the new year starts and all of that. And of course, after, last year, which a lot happened. So, it's great to kind of reimagine how you want to get fit, kind of reimagine what you want your health to look like for the new year. So with that, sometimes we get a little overboard and we kind of hit the ground running and then we burn out because we used everything we had in a way that's just not sustainable. So today, Ana Paula and I are talking about how you can do that without burning yourself out, without depleting your energy, a more sustainable way of really creating a body that you love, a life you love, and the health that you want to create as well, and really connecting to your creative expression. We talk about all that today. And with that goes how to create a life with flow. And so that's how that relates to, pushing versus letting it flow. How to break from creating through doing and step into the flow of being. And how that will also connect you with your creativity, which is really, really cool. So before we get started, I want to give you a few announcements. First of all, if you haven't subscribed to the show already, go ahead and subscribe through any podcast app you have on your phone. Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, just about everything out there that has a podcast app. We're on everything. So check it out and subscribe to the show if you haven't already. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you love the show, please be inspired to share it with your friends and family. That always means so much to me when I hear that people share it with the people they love. If you are really super interested in keeping yourself healthy this season, which I'm sure you are if you've been listening to this show for a while, and if you are, I'm sure that my listeners are very curious about getting healthy and all the different ways that you can do that. One great way that I've talked about in the past is by eating mushrooms. Now, you can cook them yourself, and that's totally fine. I do that all the time. But what's really cool about Four Sigmatic is that they cook the mushrooms down for you. They put them in a powder form that makes it in a more medicinal form for the body, so the body can quickly absorb the mushrooms. All of the things, the medicinal qualities of mushrooms have to offer the body, like aid in detoxification with the liver. It really aids the liver in the body's natural detoxification system. As well, some mushrooms have a really great a certain amount of vitamin D in them. I believe the white button mushrooms have the most from what I know, but I don't know everything about mushrooms, so there could be more because they do absorb, especially the ones that are in the sun and grow. So I know that that's a great nutrient that you can get from mushrooms too. So there's so many different things. I can't believe that more people have not been talking about mushrooms more this season, and especially last year during the coronavirus. Vitamin D is extremely important, and so are mushrooms. Mushrooms can be a great tool for keeping the body healthy, helping the body detoxify, doing the job it's already supposed to be doing. But when you come across a virus, the more that your body is able to detoxify on its own, the better equipped you will be to fight off a virus. So This is why I stress the mushrooms. They're going to help with hormonal balance. They're going to help with immunity, so many things. So if you want to order the Four Sigmatic mushrooms, I love them because they come in all kinds of flavors. I love the elixir, or actually the chai is my favorite. They have elixirs. They have coffee with mushrooms in them, the mushroom powder, as well as hot cocoa and all kinds of stuff. I think they have protein powder now. So just a lot of great options to get those mushrooms in the diet. So if you want to order the Four Sigmatic mushrooms, go to the link that I have in my show notes, foursigmatic.com, and enter my code Integrate Yourself, and you'll get 10% off. And you'll also be supporting the show. So I appreciate it so much. And finally, if you really want to know what it takes to create a really solid fitness foundation, head over to my website. I'll include a link in the show notes as well to my Creating Your Fitness Foundation course. It's an online course that will teach you everything you need to know about your fitness foundation, creating that solid foundation that's going to help you strengthen around your joints. It's going to create mobility in your fitness practice. It's going to teach you how to use a foam roller properly, when to use it and how to use it, and all the different things that I teach my clients and how to use it as well. You're going to learn all the teachings that I share in the very beginning with all of my clients in my Fitness Foundation online course. As well, we go through alignment, posture, and all of our movement patterns. And it's just so much fun when you know how to create a solid foundation of stability. And also, repatterning your breathing is important. We go through that as well. I teach you how to breathe properly, how to open up your body to breathe properly if you have a lot of restriction there. And it's just a really literally liberating program for people, because they don't realize how so many areas of their body that they haven't really thought about or paid attention to can liberate their full body movement in so many ways. So this is what I teach in my Creating Your Fitness Foundation online course, plus so much more. So if you want to sign up for that and get fit for life, create a solid foundation that will last you a lifetime, head over to pureenergypdx.com and go to my online courses, and you'll see Creating Your Fitness Foundation, and you'll see the Creating Your Food Foundation too. You can also sign up for that, but I will leave a direct link to that in the show notes to the Fitness Foundation course, so you can get started right away. Okay, so without further ado, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce you to Ana Paula Munoz. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to Integrate Yourself. I'm your host, Allison Pillow, and you can find me at pureenergypdx.com. Today, I am here with a really special guest. Her name is Ana Paula Munoz. She is a peak performance coach and intuitive. She supports high-performing women who are exhausted and overworked. She helps them create a life they love without giving up their freedom and delight for life. Her expertise combines a beautiful meld between a master's in architecture, healing, energy healing, yoga certification, and advanced leadership training. Ana Paula is an expert in getting to the root cause of your patterns so that you can create a life that is designed for you with excitement, deep connection, and sensuality. Ana Paula is continuously creating divine design, personalized retreats with sacred activations virtually and around the world. Welcome, Ana Paula, to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Allison. This is really exciting.
Oh, yeah. So excited to have you on. I was so excited when I got your email and you sent me what you'd like to talk about. I was like, yes, I want to talk about that so badly, because I'm in this in this time in my life where I'm really honing into my own unique creative expression and how
Mm,
important that is as a woman for to be healthy, to really be able to express ourselves healthy. And if so, I'd love to like expand on that more today with you. And also just I'd like to know more about you actually because I don't know a whole bunch. We're
yeah.
quickly introduced via email. So please tell me more about you and what you do.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love that. So, okay, I'll put a pin on the creative one because that's
Okay.
a really exciting topic. I love that. And just quickly, what I do, I'm a peak performance coach and intuitive for women. And basically, the main focus is supporting them to get clear on their vision, to be able to tune in to their feminine way of creating, which is different than the push cycle that we learn, right? Of the doing masculine energy.
Right, right.
And then the other thing is the divine design retreats. And give me a second, I need water.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I support women in these divine design retreats, which are one-on-one in different parts of the world. And I mean, the world was shut down last year, but before
Yeah,
that, it's just really phenomenal because it's personalized for each individual, and we go deep into the healing processes and then go into the creation of what they're here to create. So first looking at early childhood things, inner child work, and then the second day is all creation and visioning and um, what's coming up for them, what's going to be birthed by them. And that
awesome.
kind of leads into your question of creativity and how, as women, we're meant to create, you know,
Yes, I
to
it's
express.
so important. It's so
Yeah.
important for us to connect to that.
Yeah. So it's part of our like divine right to be able to take that on as a responsibility of what am I birthing into the world, because we're continuously bringing things into the world. And it's so important to do that from a conscious space and from a connected place deep within our hearts and our souls and what's aligned with us the most. And it does take that inner reflection back in and really seeing, wow, is this for me? Or is this the opportunity that I want? Or is that the direction that's aligned with me? And as long as we stay in alignment, and then do a continuous action, we get to also see on the other side of that, because the action is the masculine. And then on the other side is the beautiful, like feminine receptor, right? Of
Right.
seeing, okay, now I get to rest and see what is created from that action and receive what is created. So it becomes this
Mhm.
beautiful dance between masculine and feminine. And it's exciting because when you start creating that way, it's no longer in a push cycle. It is
Yeah.
more of a dance with the universe, you know?
Yeah, that's so important because I love that you bring that up because I think that's where a lot of women go wrong is they try to push and they don't learn how to receive. We have to learn how to receive, and that is actually one of the most important parts of the creation process. Is like if you're
Yeah.
always pushing and wanting more and more and more, and you're not stepping back and relaxing, resting, and then receiving the goodness that you've created and eh, then you never actually realize that. So
Yeah.
it can be very depleting. There can be like this feeling of never having enough or never being enough.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that was great. I love that you bring that up.
Yeah, yeah, those points are so important. Like actually allowing ourselves to just take a moment, receive, rest, see what's created. Even through history, we see how some really important inventions happen when we step away a little bit and relax
Mhm.
into, okay, what's been happening? So people get great ideas in the shower or the bathtub or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that's your eureka moment. That's the light bulb experience.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens when we actually relax into it and we allow for the feminine to receive. And then, of course, keeping the masculine as well. And that's like your committed action towards the goal or towards the vision that you're creating. Many times, something that I see a lot in like spiritual communities is that it's like, oh, just manifest. And the thing is, you're missing the action, right? Like the whole
Right.
thing about The Secret, it's like, yes, 100%. And you get to bring in your own movement, your own action towards what you're creating.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the
I
reciprocation.
love that. I love that. That's so true because it is about what I call inspired action, So
Mm-hmm.
you do what you said, with like what the secret tells you to do. And everybody's like, well, why isn't it working? Well, because you're not taking action. Because in
Yeah.
this world we have to do that, right?
Yeah.
So but it is like becoming easier to take action when you're in alignment, like you said, energetically with what you're wanting to do. And what I've found is that it's way more easier to do that when it's coming from the heart, when you're aligned with what you're really wanting to do from the heart, and it speaks to your spirit, right? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what I talk about in the book that I'm writing is about our childhood, our childlike innocence, like really our pure innocence is what we want to connect with so that we can play and create and have fun, and that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, yeah, that is so important to be in alignment in our creation. And then also, I mean, there's some sort of feeling that when you even just think about it right now, like feeling, oh yeah, I'm going to be in alignment and rest in that space, rest in my childhood curiosity, and allow for that kind of inquisitive, mysterious,
Yeah,
like wanting to discover. It's so beautiful and playful and actually re-energizing versus the other thing that we've been taught, which is just going for it, blinders on, nose to the grindstone, like no
right.
looking back. And like there's two different paths that may take you to a very similar result, but your whole experience, your whole journey to get there is so important and so valuable. That's your life, right? It's like
Yeah,
all of these moments that make up your life. So I think
yeah.
learning to create in a way that is balanced is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that that is your unique art. Whatever, your how you're creating your life is your real art,
Yeah.
and it's like you said, if you hadn't had those steps, that experience to get to where you are, you can't really bypass that. Like that's the
Mhm.
whole thing. It's funny about spiritual bypassing, and we try to do that with everything, a lot of other things just besides spirituality, but um, we try to do that with exercise too. We try to do that with nutrition, but it's like it is a process just like anything else of learning about yourself, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a continuous journey of unraveling more of who you are. and and then the reason, like a really important thing here is you keep discovering more of who you are, even the things that you think you already know. Like, for example, um, early on in my trainings, so first I started with like leadership training and things like that in my personal development, and then went more into spirituality. Well, there was a bit of an overlap, but in the leadership one, it has a very specific way of categorizing, like in those tests or quizzes that you take that tell you, oh, you're this personality type or
Oh,
whatever.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see if like if there's potentially, and this is something that just came up right now, which is why I'm sharing with you. It's like I'm really curious if when we take those personality tests and realize something, if it's something that we then assign to ourselves and then we're testing based on experiences from early childhood. So there's a ton
Yeah.
of early childhood traumas, right? That we come up with patterns to respond and defend ourselves after something may have happened.
Hmm.
So you may become a very perfectionist little child and lose a lot of the curiosities and that like joie de vivre, and just be very high functioning alpha and become that as an adult and think as an adult that that
Right.
is you.
Yeah.
But what if, like, you allow yourself the possibility to realize, no, I may think that that's me, but what if the truth is that underneath that, there is still that little child that's curious and happy and playful and wanting to jump and be silly and make faces and still produce and have a great business and whatever.
Right.
So there's this kind of reprogramming when we start our personal development work to begin noticing, oh, okay, I have always thought this, but actually, as I look deeper, this is just another mask that was
Yeah.
protecting this one from being seen or protecting this one from being wrong, or, you know? So
Yeah.
allowing that to be part of the process and letting yourself like keep evolving is
Yeah.
so important, and allowing there to be so much compassion because these are protective mechanisms that we've all used. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so powerful. It's like you mentioned the inner child work, which I use a lot of too, and I just think it's one of the most powerful tools that we can use for peeling the layers off who we really are and who we really want to show up like. Because um, you know, I it is interesting how, like, I think I laughed when you said that you take a personality test, it tells you who you think you are, but you're really not that as much as you, um, are more of kind of what you were drawn to as a kid, and I think about this, I'm like, "Wow, yeah." Um, I think about what I liked and the things I was drawn to as a kid, and I connect with that on a spiritual level and realize that's me, you know?
Mhm.
But I had really just downplayed that or pushed that aside so that I could be someone else. So I could be this more person who like had it all together, didn't make mistakes, whatever.
Mhm.
But actually, I'm really kind of a silly person that I like to have fun and
Mhm.
I don't and I do like to make mistakes cuz it's kind of fun. So, I'm realizing that about myself and I didn't even know it and until or didn't remember until recently and it's just kind of fun and so now I don't have to take myself as seriously. I mean, I am competent. I'm, responsible, but I don't have to take life so seriously. So I love that you say that because it reminds me of that process of like really, you don't have to be childish. You can be childlike, right? So
Exactly. I love that. Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Let's see. I love where this is going. And I really want to kind of step into the creative expression part here. So
Mhm.
as women, especially as it relates to voice and kind of like setting boundaries and really, you want to like part of I'll speak for myself. Is always wanting to be nice and not wanting to rock the boat and kind of. So again, that to some extent stifles your creative expression, it stifles your movement, it kind of, makes you edit yourself a lot and so we're kind of getting almost to a place where that's happening a little bit again kind of in the media. People are getting um there's a lot of judgment going on with what people say. And I guess it depends on your experience of it because I try not to pay attention to that as much, but I've noticed in this cancel culture kind of thing. And, it's like, then people get to a place where they're kind of afraid to really speak their mind or say really how they feel. What is your opinion on kind of where we're heading with this and how people can kind of break out of like being afraid to creatively express themselves the way they really want to?
Mhm. Do you mean creatively, like, in their craft, or create, or just expression in general?
Anyway, yeah, I think because I think I say that with a broad stroke because I think that um I think it relates to everything in your life. So if you don't even start practicing it in your everyday life with the people that you're around or that you're talking to, then it's going to be really hard to translate that into something that is like a creative project. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's
mhm.
kind of the way I look at it. So
Yeah,
your
yeah.
life is your practice in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want do one thing is how you do everything, and
Yeah.
life is your practice. I love that. Okay. So I feel like this can take so many routes, but in terms of expression, so there's behind expression, I feel like there's authenticity, like really tuning in and feeling and responding. So let's lay out that map first. So there's response, and then there's reaction. Um, and then we have a responsibility, like we have the ability to respond. We get to be in responsibility. And then there's reaction mode, which is just snap action, and you say something, you blurt something out or whatever.
Right.
So there's those two differences in expressing. Of course, the most recommended one
Yeah.
would be responsibility, choosing to respond. And
Yes.
in order to respond, there must be some space, or there gets to be some space in between action, trigger, whatever it is, and you. And then you have that opportunity to support or share or express in whatever way that you want, but it comes from a place that's aligned with you and not just something that's one of your masks or protector parts within yourself, like reacting and just being um, you know like you being from a place that's not in your highest self or most
Right.
aligned. So, and we've all had experiences like that, whether we're responding or reacting, we've all done it. So there's no shame in it. It's really an opportunity to just come back and see, oh wow, okay, I actually have the ability to respond and I get to be responsible in my life. So once we say, okay, I'm going to be responsible in my life, I see this, I see this as an opportunity, then you get to really see, okay, am I responding or expressing for another, or is it for myself? Like really coming to terms into, if it's something triggering that's happening, or like right now, like there's so many different movements and
Yeah.
triggers. And that's why I'm kind
That's why I bring it up. I'm like, this is a big time for this.
there's so much happening. And so everyone has different opinions, and
Right.
everyone gets to have their own opinions.
Yes.
But when your opinion is going to hurt a third party, or when your opinion is going to really damage someone else, or it's intended to hurt someone,
Right.
then you get to see what's your come from. Like, who is really speaking? Who is really taking the action? Is that your highest self? Are you really speaking from your heart? Are you speaking from love? Or is it a reaction?
Hmm.
And just remembering where it comes from. And then if it's not something having to do with the whole situation of the world, and you're just wanting to express your art and go in a different route in terms of your business, for example, or you want to start a new career, and that's a different way of expressing yourself, whole different story. In that case, you get to really step into your own creatorship, like really being the creatrix. If you're a woman, the creatrix of your own reality,
Yeah.
and and taking that on, and seeing, okay, what is truly in alignment? Am I really like, am I ready to share these gifts? And if you are, then taking the next steps and really investing in yourself. Like, that's a huge thing too. Investing in yourself to be able to move to the next level, because you're only going to get yourself to a certain level, and then after that it's important to get support, whether it's through therapy,
Right.
through spiritual guidance, through coaching. There's a bunch of different ways to up level your mindset and your awareness. So there's
Yeah.
different levels to it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm a big supporter of support. I think receiving support from other people is so important, and learning how to receive the goodness in life too. Like sometimes I've had to be humble and say, I cannot do this myself, nor do I want to do this myself. I definitely need help, and it's been the best thing I've ever done. So, um, yeah, that's great, and I think also, what comes with I love your perspective on how you broke it down between responsibility and reaction, which is a huge thing to really, discern, because that there is a big difference between the 2, and one is really, I feel like, more comes from a more aware, place, that is actually, it involves boundary setting, it involves self-worth, right?
Hmm.
Self-respect for both yourself and the person that you're speaking with. So, is I feel like as long as that's happening within the conversation, that it's probably going to be going in a good direction. But as long as it's happening from a reactive place, which again, no judgment there. I think we're all kind of where we are. And if we do react, like, pay attention to why that happened and don't just push it away, but think maybe, where is that coming from an inner child that really wants to say something right now, right?
Mhm.
Like somebody's trying to get your attention. So those are things that come up for me personally. And then sometimes I'm like, well, my 5-year-old just needed to say that today. And I'm
Mhm.
I'm sorry for whoever. That's just how it was. And I apologize. I'll try to do it better next time.
Mhm.
So sometimes again, we can kind of find that gray area within that to be like, okay, it was a mistake. I'll get another chance to try that again. And so, but so again, and then other times you can probably agree to disagree on things because sometimes
Mhm.
people, and that's respectful in my opinion, to agree to
Yes.
disagree with somebody, right? Because you're
Mhm.
saying, I hear what you're saying, totally, and I think that's a great perspective, but I don't agree with it, and that's okay. I still love
Mhm.
you anyway. So
Mhm.
if we could get to that place, that would be fantastic. I feel like moving forward into 2021.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree with that.
But
And sometimes that's, like, the level that you get to with someone, like,
yes.
even
Yeah, I
especially.
think that's a good place to be with people, and go ahead. I didn't mean to
No, no,
cut you
I
off
was
there.
just gonna
Yeah.
say, like, times when I've agreed to disagree the most has been with, like, family, you know, because
Yes.
there's also a lot of projections and things going on with family naturally, but, yeah, there's a great opportunity for you to have a conversation with family and then say, "Okay, you know what? We see a different point of view and agree to disagree, and let's move on to the next thing." Because it's and it's a great practice of not being just ego battle, right? But actually
Yes.
dropping into the heart, and when you agree to disagree, sometimes that is love winning, right? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Especially when it comes to the family, that's gonna be your greatest, challenge. Your most spiritual growth is gonna come from dealing with your family. We all know that, right?
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
there.
There's a lot there. And if you haven't explored family constellations yet, I highly recommend it because it's a great modality. I love it.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, I wanted to also get into you'd sent me why spiritual entrepreneurs miss the mark after setting their intention. So, can we get into that topic some and just
Yeah.
expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. That's a little bit of what we talked about in the beginning of really just kind of setting the intention and then being like, "Okay, it's done."
Right, right, right. Yeah,
And that's being on the other side of the push cycle, right? That's being way too much in the feminine and not taking the masculine action. So there the ideal way of creating is imbalance with both.
gotcha.
Many times when I think most people are in the, especially peak performers, are in the push cycle, right?
Hmm. Right.
It's something where they would really benefit from being in the feminine. Whereas people that are more spiritual entrepreneurs, most of the time they're a little bit more on the feminine and a little more flowy. And then they would need more of the masculine in order to balance out. So yeah, it depends who is the person in front of us. But
Yeah, that
yeah.
makes so much sense. Yeah, that I see that too. I see that a lot actually. And yeah, that's inspired action. I think works really well with people who are more in the spirituality sector, because then the action more comes from the heart. I feel like really, I mean, for anybody that's good, but um, yeah, I think that's fantastic. I love that,
Yeah.
and being able to differentiate those two for sure.
Yeah, and also, what's coming up is not just the action piece, but having a clear vision that's one step at a time. Because
Yeah,
many times, I think this is more of a creative entrepreneur kind of thing versus just spiritual, but just the shiny object, being like,
yeah,
"Oh, and then this, and then this, and then this," and it's just it becomes this web of ideas that are probably all brilliant, but to
yeah.
execute them effectively, you get to really see where is your energy going and how can you move forward with intention one at a time.
So it sounds like what you're saying, Anna, Paula, is that you're saying that you're taking the visionary and you're helping the visionary integrate that vision basically into by taking action kind of. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, because, yeah, I see that a lot. Yeah, people have great ideas, but, like, if you don't do anything about it, if you don't take action towards, like, one step at a time, going towards that, then it's just goes out the one ear and out the other.
Mhm.
But, how do you help people, take inspired action? Because I think one thing that has been helpful to me is just putting up intentions on, like, a whiteboard, and they'll have, like the energy what I want to embody as well, like a muse or something
Mhm.
like that for a certain project, and then action steps. What do you recommend your clients do in that case to turn
Mhm.
that visionary into like someone who's taking action?
Absolutely. So the first thing is really being aligned with the why you're doing it. Like start
That's a
with
good
why.
one. Yeah.
Um, and then once that is set and the vision is clear and we know what's coming forth, then aligning that to their values, like their own personal values of what they want to embody in the world. And also, super important is looking at the main roadblocks. And typically, those are linked to early childhood things again. So, I love, and this is something that I really love, even though it is a process that's deep, sometimes painful for anyone. And it's really being able to see the patterns, like really seeing what
Yeah.
are the patterns that you live your life through, and how does that show up in your world? Because when you start noticing your patterns, and we have more than one, we have a primary and then we have others. When you see it, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like it's everywhere and it's integrated, it's infiltrated all of my relationships, it's in the way I do this and that. And and then starting to recognize it in daily life and then seeing how that same pattern is the one that would take you towards procrastination or like
Oh,
way too much in
right.
the shiny object land or feeling like you're not enough and then putting yourself down and hiding in a corner or in lone wolfing. And,
Yeah.
so
So you're
there's
saying that's
all
the main pattern there. That would be the big one, and then the little ones would be like like you're saying the
no, no.
procrastination
So
or
everyone has a main pattern.
uh-huh.
So what I just mentioned are different things that could happen from different patterns.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Yeah,
So
gotcha.
everyone has a different pattern. And the pattern came up as a defense mechanism from how you were raised and your environment growing up. And even if you feel like, oh, you had the perfect family and blah, 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 there's always a pattern. There's always
Yes.
things happening. And it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
right,
like
right.
we
I love
still
that you
love
say
your
that.
parents. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay if you want to. So there's like all of this opportunity to and almost like data that shows what pattern is the one that's running right now and how you
Mhm.
kind of step into that pattern when certain things are triggered. Like let's say you're
Yeah.
creating something or you're starting your work day. You kind of like put on that pattern or you like step into that way of being
Mhm.
and you are now performing in that way. And then it starts taking over more and more of your life unless you work on it and really release the defense mechanism and
Mm,
start realizing, wow, there are different ways of doing this. Do I enjoy other ways more? Can I be liberated from this? And you can. Like,
that's
of
awesome.
course.
I love
So
that.
really just releasing these different roadblocks that come up.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I love how you put that. That is, and it's true. I think, gosh, don't you think that people are seeing those patterns change now with the
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything that's happening in the world? Now
Yeah.
they're yeah.
Our environment right now, I feel like, especially last year, um, there was a lot of opportunity to get triggered, and
Yeah.
those triggers show some of the patterns as well and show, okay, this is how I tend to do things. This is how I tend to react. This is how much time I dedicate to what I actually love and how much I don't. And, it really was an opportunity for self-reflection and and an opportunity to kind of clean up what you're like, oh, this was actually all out of alignment. Let's start over.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic opportunity too. Even though I'll admit in the beginning, I was definitely like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to do this, kind of like, temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was like, hold on, I can make the best out of this. I can find the goodness in this. And when I started doing that, I was like, wow, okay. So I wrote a book. Well, I've never written a book before.
Yay.
And I'll share with you, I started 15 minutes every morning. I was like, okay, I can handle 15 minutes of writing every morning. The first thing when I wake up, my mind is going. I've got all these ideas and like, just put it on paper. Whatever you write is whatever you write. And I did that and it turned into 30 minutes. Then that turned into an hour. Then that turned into over an hour. And finally, I had a book. So I did it
Wow.
every morning. And it was so much fun. I didn't know how much fun that could actually be, and I was like, "I would have never known this if I had to drive to the gym every morning. Still, I would have not had the time to even do this," you know?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there is I feel like there's a lot of magic that happen within some of the chaos that we experience, and I guess that's the point, is that you have to kinda shake it up a little bit, pull the ground has to be pulled out from under you a little bit, like, so to speak, with the old patterns so that you can create new patterns. Otherwise, you might not ever change your pattern, right?
Yeah, no, I love what you just shared and just what that shows in you, like this commitment and consistency. And that is so important for any creation, like staying consistent with it versus saying,
Yeah.
oh, actually, sometimes I'm going to do this instead or something. But no, you're like, I'm going to write and I love it. And you loved it and it grew and it's a book. It's so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
it's something that was like urging to be expressed from you and you let it through.
Yeah.
I feel
And it
like
was
that's
it was so great.
important. Mhm.
It really was healing for me actually, really healing. So, I mean, I had no idea that I would have that experience with that.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
incredible. So,
That's amazing. Even that share of, being open to letting it be its own thing and letting what needs to be expressed, even though you didn't know the official, like, outcome.
yeah,
You
exactly.
you kind of evolved with it, and it just feels like such a beautiful, co-creation. It's like
Yeah,
yeah, it unfolded.
absolutely. And I hired a person who is gonna help me format it and edit it and publish it, so that's
Mm,
the part I didn't really know how to do or wanna do by myself, and so there's your example of support, right?
mhm.
So, like, you can create something and then have someone help you with the support part, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, and, like, letting like, they enjoy that, and you get to stay in your lane, and they
exactly.
get to do their lane, and it's just this beautiful, like, sharing and teamwork. Teamwork is so important for creation right now and collaboration, like
Yes, I agree 100%. Um, this is so great. I love this conversation, and I actually really love that I wanted to go back to you have a master's in architecture and then
yeah,
you got into energy healing. How did that happen? Like, how did you go from architecture to energy healing?
okay, yeah,
Because I meant to ask that and I forgot as we went, but
yeah,
now I'm
absolutely.
asking. Yeah.
Sure. So I studied architecture um, for many years. I was in the architecture profession for like 10 years or so. I worked for super famous architect Frank Gehry for a few years, and that was incredible. And I thought that was my dream job. And and it was at the time. And then I realized that something was missing, after working for him for a while, I just felt like this pull in my heart going in a different direction. And just, I chose to listen to it and see what was really in alignment and what was really the way that I got to express in the world and the way that I got to serve and share my gifts. And it wasn't in that way at that time anymore. So it was creating, and I am always like creating, but not in the same way. So I transitioned into personal development and supporting people in their inner world, basically the architecture of their self,
Right.
and and yeah, and supporting them and create their visions into reality instead of homes and museums and buildings into reality. Now it's people and who they want to be, what they want to embody, and bringing that into the world.
That's
So
cool.
that's the shift. And then the weave of energy healing, it started at a really early age. Like, I had a strong connection with angels and things like that as a little girl. And then and then yeah, and then I was super focused in architecture, and right after leaving, I decided to do, like, my Reiki certification, and that was kind of like beginning again into energy work. I had some shaman experiences in high school, kind of jumping all over the timeline, sorry.
Well, when you were a kid and you said you saw angels or guides or you and
Mm,
you or did you like
yeah.
kind of go through a period where you stopped or have you always kind of been connected with that?
Yeah, so I was really, really connected that as a little girl, and it was just, like, conversations with, like, source or what
Yeah.
like, just
Mhm.
really connected and also feeling the presence of different archangels, and that
Yeah.
was my way of feeling grounded and, connected with the beauty of life, basically, and so I that was a really strong connection, and then as I grew up, it shifted a little bit even though I still but not that much. So it kind of continued along, and then even through architecture, even though I was very rigid in the architecture creative part, this was like my flowy side that I didn't really allow it to be expressed in a professional way until later on. And now it's, yeah, so I've studied a lot more in energy healing, and I'm in another training right now. Um, that's just like next level next level kind of support and work that really gets to the depth of patterns and like root issues that happen like pre-birth and like it's really beautiful, and the kind of transformation that I've seen within myself and in colleagues and in clients that I've started supporting with this has been so beautiful.
That's
Like,
incredible.
yeah, there's like different levels of energy healing, and um,
Is it
it's
quantum
difficult to explain
healing
how it comes.
or what's the modality?
So right now, I'm studying in luminous awareness.
Oh, yes, I've heard
So
of that. Yeah.
it's just very deep energy work and then somatic experiencing, and it feels like yeah, it's very magical.
That's awesome.
But
So,
yeah.
how do you ground yourself after that work? Like, because you're really taking yourself kind of out of the body, right? Or, I mean, I kind of feel like you can be in the body though with a lot of this work now.
Yes. So yeah, so in this training, it's
Mhm.
very much about like staying in your body and being embodied and aware. So
Right.
you're working
Okay.
with states of awareness.
Yeah.
So yeah, like practicing going out of your body would be a, a different kind of practice, which can be done. But I am very much for embodiment,
Me
like,
too.
and anchoring down the light into your body,
Yes.
into the earth, into the world, and that's how you create, which is like my biggest passion and gift that I bring to the world is like this creative
Yeah.
force and support.
I love that because that's my same way of thinking too. That's what I use as well. I do that a similar thing. And, I feel like it's very powerful because 'cause we're grounded to the earth, but we're here, we're embodied, we're in our body, but we're also able to, expand our energy and,
Mhm.
be more of who we wanna be, I guess, in some sense of the word, but, there is a way to be spiritual and embodied, so I love that. I'm hearing more people say that and talk about it, and it's fantastic because, I I've been a trainer for a long time, and one thing I used to notice a lot with people is it was the biggest challenge for people to stay in their bodies when they work out or when they, when they exercise and they immediately go somewhere else. I'm like, hey, come
Mhm.
back. And so that was kind of a lot of my work with people was just keeping them in their bodies, even just like, hey, where do you feel that? And so maybe that is like our next step as kind of evolving here
Yeah.
in this next year is to learn how to be embodied, but also very spiritual, right?
Yeah, a great example for movement and embodiment is like Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga,
Yeah,
where
yes.
you're deeply connected with your awareness and your breath because you can move your awareness from, like, if you're in your head it's going to be all here, but you can move it down into your heart, and you can do a very simple practice of just bringing it to your heart, bringing it to your belly, and then while exercising you can move it with your breath. If you're, I don't know, lifting weights, you can also I don't know, imagine it to be I haven't tried it with weights, that's why I'm making it up for you, but just
Thank you.
imagine how your awareness gets to
Yeah.
move within you and where do you want it? And
Yes.
maybe it goes to your belly, like really finding that core strength when you like
Hmm.
lift weights or
Yeah. Yeah. A
but
lot of it is would be connecting to the core, I think, probably. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Like you're a gymnast or you started with
Hmm.
gymnastics.
I did. Yeah.
So that's a great like a great way to be embodied, like when you're in the floor, or I don't know the
The
official
floor
name,
exercise.
the
Yeah.
floor
Uh-huh.
exercise, where
Yeah.
you also get to be more in flow and with your body and dancing
Yeah.
and
Totally.
feeling music. Like those are great ways to come back in.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the dance, doing my own choreography and gymnastics. That was one of my favorite things to do, and to this day, I love to dance. But I think that
Mhm.
we have like one thing to do is just to dance freely, right, and see what
Mhm.
your movement signature actually is. Like, how do you move? Like, is it not mimicking something else or a choreographed routine? Like, how does your body feel like
What your
moving?
body
So
wants.
I
Yeah.
think that can be really powerful too in
Mhm.
self-expression and learning how you express yourself that way. As silly as you feel or as silly as think you look, it's really healing and empowering, I think, to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and I get what you're saying. It's a little different when you allow your body to be free. Like, I was in
Yes.
ballet for
Oh
most of
yeah.
my
So
growing
you
up,
know.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and it truly impacted, like, the way I did things in life, how I imagine gymnastics did for you. But where I'm grateful and at the same time to discover that your body sometimes wants to move in a certain way that's delicious and flowy and weird.
Right.
It's
I
amazing.
love that you said weird. That's great. That's so perfect. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so true though. Like you have to move weird sometimes. You can't like, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's just I think that this is just a good way to free yourself and it
Mhm.
will have an effect on you that it is more than you really know, I think.
Yeah,
So,
it frees your emotion. So, like,
yes.
something I practice a lot with my partner is, like, when something comes up or, like, we're feeling like it was a long day or whatever,
Yeah.
even just, like, shaking or, like, "Ah,"
Yeah.
and just
Exactly.
doing something like that is so, releasing. Like, it's healing, it's
Yes.
releasing, it's delicious, and it's playful. Like, you get to just, like, unwind, like, literally, like, "Ah," and
Totally.
play with your partner or whatever.
Exactly. You don't need to use all these words all the time, right? You can just do it with body language. I
Yeah,
love
absolutely.
that. Yeah, that's so wonderful. Well, um, I would love for you to leave everybody, Anna Paula with do you prefer being called Anna Paula or Anna? I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm
Annabelle.
just now
That's okay.
asking.
That's okay. But, yeah, Annabelle.
Okay. All right. So, I did look at your website. I wasn't sure, like, it looked like maybe you sign up and there's like kind of a membership thing that you have offering. Is that true? Or you want to maybe
Uh,
share with everybody what your offerings are
yeah,
and where they
absolutely.
can find you?
Yeah, I can I share a link with you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll share a link with you of, um, I'm thinking what I can, like, sometimes there's free gifts. I'll see what is live right now. But if I have a free gift live, I'll send you that link and you guys can check it out.
Okay.
Or if you just want to contact me, you can email me at Anna, ANA, at soulshape, SOULSHAPE.me. I'm transitioning my website right now,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
so it's kind of like in the middle of it, but it's published so I can see it while they work on it. Anyways, um, maybe
That
by
makes
the time
sense.
that they see it, they can go to anapaulamunoz.com. But yeah, I'll give you a
Okay.
link. And what I wanted to share with you also, which if there's time, I'd love to share about the platform.
Absolutely. I have time. It's just up to how much you time how much
Okay.
time you have. Yeah.
Okay. I just have a couple of more minutes and I'll
Okay.
just share.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, where I'd want to really invite everyone to go to is to a healing platform that I've co-created with my business partner Michael, and it is going to launch around March or spring this year. And it's a healing platform that connects seekers to guides and different modalities and different events and ways of healing and getting support. So
Cool.
it's going to be really, really beautiful and a great way for you to find your own path into your personal development, whatever that looks like and whatever you want to take on. So,
That's fantastic. I love
ah,
that. That's
so
going to be a first, I think. I don't think anybody's really doing that right now. So
yeah,
great. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. And
So
that is
basically, you can find a coach or a guide or a mentor that way if you're looking to,
It's
yeah.
mhm. So
Okay.
that it doesn't have coaches that are just coaches. It like I'm a coach, but it's like it includes mostly people that are part of different modalities.
Okay.
So it's guides within modalities and yeah, so it's more in like therapy or holistic healing or
Oh, okay.
different
Yes.
kinds of modalities like that.
Okay.
So, but there's also, for example, some that are specifically for mind or brain mapping, brain spotting, neural reprogramming.
Yeah.
And then there's also spiritual ones and energy work. So there's a wide range, and the range is growing. And in terms of the coach level, I'm not sure how we're going to integrate that yet, but eventually I feel like yes.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like energy workers, holistic health practitioner kind of people. Yeah,
Mhm.
gotcha. That is amazing. I'm so glad you guys are doing that because we need that. We need so much of that right now. We need people to get
Yeah.
connected to those kinds of people right now because that is, in my opinion, is really a great alternative to healing. I mean, it's not even, I mean, in my opinion, it's not an alternative. It's like the way, but I know some people may feel differently. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I think it's wonderful though. I love that you're putting it out there and you're kind of I've been waiting so long for the people in all these fields to come together. And I think more
Mhm.
that they can come together, the more powerful we're going to be to help people and to have a stronger stand in that community of health and wellness. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all of that is at inora.com. So it's INAURA.com.
Okay.
Inora. And yeah, it's really exciting and I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much, Anna. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you can do me a favor and just email me that link, and then I can just put it in the show notes, and so everybody can find that very quickly. And this will be coming out before you guys launch that, so that's great. So
Thank you.
yeah, so everybody will be able to find that and hopefully support that project that you're doing. But
So,
thank you so much. This was beautiful, and I enjoyed talking to you so much. This was a wonderful conversation, and I'm
yeah.
so grateful that you found me. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, you're
And I
welcome. Yeah.
really appreciate you and I appreciate what you're
Oh,
doing in the world.
thank you. Hopefully, we'll cross paths again sometime soon.
I'd love that. Yes. All
Take
right.
care.
Okay.
Bye
Bye.
bye.